Antelope Audio have been on a roll throughout the past year, thanks to the release of their Edge modeling microphones, the 3rd generation Orion 32 Plus, and the Orion HD interface. Both of these interfaces have seen significant upgrades with new mastering grade converters, an improved dynamic range, and spruced up faceplates. Today we're going to be specifically working in the studio with the Orion 32 HD interface. This powerful tool offers 64 channels of audio via USB 3.0 or Avid's mini Digilink connectors, and offers access to Antelope's FPGA effects platform. Currently, this collection features over 35 classic compressors, reverbs, EQs, and more for real-time effects processing. Also available at a more affordable price point, the Orion 32 Plus Gen 3 offers 32 channels of audio via USB 2.0 and 64 channels when connected via Thunderbolt. And to sweeten the deal on this demo, we're going to be incorporating the 10MX on parts of the session today. This is Antelope's incredible atomic clock, which supports sample rates up to 768 kHz. So once you're done watching the video here, be sure to click the link in the description so you can hear what the 10MX sounds like on the track and without. Alright, so let's get into it. Today we're going to be going to the 45 factory with Bryan, Reilly, and Olivia Millerschin, and we're going to build a track using the Orion 32 HD.
You make this head quiet, but it sounds just like sirens when you're gone. And they called me Orion, a storm waiting to happen till you came along. No more chasing, you run with me. Years running in place, I didn't know. All that I need, now that I know it's you. Baby, it's you.
So we're at the 45 factory, and let me walk you through the setup of how we tracked through the Orion 32 HD. First, I set up all the mics in the live room, and then coming out of our patch bay, they're going directly into the preamps of the API 2448. Then I went out of the channel direct outputs directly into the analog inputs of the Orion 32 HD. And then to monitor the session, I went out the analog outputs of the Orion 32 HD, 1 and 2, into the 2-track return of the 2448. I used 3 and 4 for our headphone mix, and then output 5 to isolate the click. So as we were tracking, I was clocking the Orion 32 HD off of the Antelope 10MX clock. I was going out the Atomic 1 output of the 10MX to the 10M input on the rear panel of the Orion. Clocking off the 10MX helps capture and accentuate the low and high frequencies. For example, the rumble of the toms, or the air in the vocal, or the detail in the reverb or delays. So let me run you through the tracking and mixing process, using Antelope and third-party plugins. We started off the tracking process with Olivia on the Bosendorfer upright piano. I used 2 KM84s in stereo, close mic'd, as well as a U47 in the room. In the mix process, I used the Avid 7-band EQ to take off some of the rumble. And then I have these hardware inserts, which are using the Orion 32 HD effects processor, which has a Lang and DB160. And then afterwards, I have the Antelope 1073 model, which is just adding a little bit of top end and taking out some of the mid-range. That's going to a reverb, which is the Avid Deverb, and then filtered with the Avid 7-band EQ. And let's hear how it sounds. The next thing we tracked was Olivia's vocal running through a Soyuz bomblet. In the mix, ended up using the 7-band EQ to take out some rumble and some upper mid-range. Then I'm using the Antelope Stay 11 for compression, a little de-essing, 1073 to add some air, and then another de-esser that's capturing the really high frequencies. Those are running out to a vocal verb, which is the D verb on a plate setting. I also have an eighth note delay and a quarter note delay that happens in the pre-chorus. And let's hear how that sounds.
You make this head quiet, but it sounds just like sirens when you're gone. And they called me Orion, a storm waiting to happen till you came along.
After we tracked her lead vocal, we added some harmonies. There's a low harmony which is doubled and a higher harmony that is also doubled. And again, I'm using an EQ to take off some low end. I'm de-essing them pretty heavily, take out the sibilants. And then those are running into a plate reverb, which is then filtered to take away the low end and high end. And let's hear how those sound.
I didn't know, I didn't know. Now that I know, I know.
The next thing we added were some live drums. On the kick drum, I used a FET 47 and a sub kick. On the snare, I used a Sennheiser 441 on the top and a Beyer M160 on the bottom. For the overheads, I did a Glenn Johns setup, which has two Coles 4038s, and then I had the U47 in the room. In the mixing stage, I added a compressor to the snare bottom. I added the Antelope 1073 on the overheads, which is really taking away some of the low frequency. I also compressed them a little bit. And on the room, I put a deverb that is making it mono to stereo to add some dimension to the drums. So those are all being parallel processed through the Stay 11 compressor by Antelope, which is hitting pretty hard, and that's adding some excitement to the floor tom movement and the snare drum, which is then filtered out some low end to take away some rumble at the tom. And then on the overall drums, I have some reverb that is being filtered by this EQ, and then the deverb plugin on a large hall setting. To add some air and ambience to the drum performance, I did a cymbal overdub, which again I used the Coles 4038s in the Glenn Johns setup, as well as the U47 in the room. Those are being grouped on the stereo aux channel and has a reverb directly on it on a large church setting. From the chorus to the outro of the song, I added a shaker and tambourine, which is tracked through a Soyuz bomblet. In the mix process, I used the lo-fi plugin to take away some of the higher frequencies. On the tambourine, I'm compressing it with the Antelope Stay 11 and adding some deverb to extend the tail. On the acoustic guitar, I used the Neumann U47. In the mix process, I compressed it with the Antelope Stay 11 to kind of get a little bit of the attack away from the pick. And then that's going out to a reverb, which is panned opposite of the direct signal and filtered with this EQ. Rather than using an electric bass on this song, we used the Moog Model D. In the mix process, I filtered out some of the very low end and added a tiny bit of compression. The Orion 32 HD integrated very well into our Pro Tools native setup, as well as with our API 2448 here at the 45 Factory. It would also work as a great interface for any smaller home or project studio.
All right, everyone, that's our demo of the Orion 32 HD Gen 3. If you have any questions about any Antelope products or any other pro audio needs, feel free to hit us up at vintageking.com or reach out to one of your audio consultants.